The Burgos Cathedral started construction in the year 1221. The first 9 years of construction were pretty fast for the time, and they had built the church, the churret, and the aisles of the ambulatory with their chapels. In the year 1230, this year the first consecration was made. After 39 years, the cathedral was finished in a record time for Gothic cathedrals. The entire cathedral was consecrated in the year 1260. Nevertheless, being constructed in many wings and turrets of the cathedral, there have kept building chapels from the 14th to the 17th century. In the 18th century, the doors were replaced. The changes in the art and symbols in the Cathedral of Burgos may have had an impact in how the society developed in the medieval Europe. One of the ways it could have affected the development of the society is that it could have impacted how do people saw religion. Because in times like the Baroque era, the church used religious art as an advertisement for people so they joined the church, or for them shouldn't leave the church. So in a way, it affected how people saw the church in the development of the society, especially in times like the Baroque era.
The symbology in the Burgos cathedrals that we can see are the windows. The form of the part where people pray, what the stained windows show, and the way of building the church. They have explanations. They all have explanations, like the way of form of the church part in which people praise, because once we enter we are in the nave, and that in terms of symbols will be the human part, and that will be the part where we will enter the church, and that's one of the two current places that normal persons can go. Then we have in the case the naive is deformed for no reason apparent, but it still maintain the human body shape. Then we have the transept, that is like the T-shape thing, and this will represent the arms of the person in symbolic reasoning, and this will be like the here will normal people will have to stop because we can't enter here, because it will also mean that that this is the part that God and normal persons cross, and that's the last point where humans can go. Then we have the last part, the rest of the church to pray part, that will be the head, and it will represent the people, the people head, and this will symbolically mean God and his domains that are untouchable for normal mortals, and that we can only share with God a piece. We can never have it all. That will be the meaning. Then the light and its stained windows is also a very good way to show this, because here we have Jesus Acts, all the Bible readings that the church wanted to show to the less educated masses, and this and the symbology here is to, well, it actually depends on the what the stained window shows, but here we have a little issue because how do I say this? Because every one of them has its own symbology depending on what it shows and what part of the Bible is showing. Because if we have an example of Jesus telling the story about the prodigal son, then we will see that the symbology will mean the will be that people can return to the God path, and that they can lose, but they ultimately return to the part of the God's path. Now we have impacts on society development. So here the changes in art and symbols may affect in how the society developed in the medieval era. One of the ways it could affect the society is that it could impact how people saw religion, because the art was used as a very effective way to see the church for the less educated masses, because they couldn't read, and for this they couldn't understand in its true nature the Bible. So this was a way to also activate another of the senses to the church, to use it to get more followers, and that will be also important. And this will be also most shown when the church was reconstructed in 18th century, because there is a Baroque time where basically there were a lot of colorful, vivid colors. We'll have also a lot of details in statues and that kind of stuff to show the less educated masses, but this wouldn't be shown a lot in this type, because they wanted to maintain its true Gothic form. And although they couldn't make it with the 3 doors, then it's fine, because they couldn't get it. There is where we can see much the Baroque, and then in the future in we are now, this has become a massive way of getting tourists, because this was very impressive to eyes view, including if they're not religious people, and a lot of people want to get there. And although it's not used almost in all its position because of the problems of religion in nowadays with science, it's very useful for Spain for the country Spain, for its generation of money because of tourism and that kind of stuff. So to conclude, we can see the impact and change of Gothic in the medieval Europe, and how it has affected different periods of time through a cathedral like the Burgos. And here we can see it more clearly because it's more simplified than in other page, and we're going like to the point, and we don't have and we want people to understand how this type of art affects the people, and it affects the development of societies in a lot of times, like today or in the Baroque era, in terms of economically or religiously, in either of those.